Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship.
Many decades have passed since its debut. The show still retains a special affection from viewers from its first broadcast in 1964 to today. Gilligan's Island remains one of the memorable icons of the old wave of television. What makes this show forever live in the hearts of its fans? The answer is quite simple. The quirky characters and humorous situations easily win over the audience. The way the show cleverly combines humor with lightness is the key attraction. Every aspect of Gilligan's Island is wonderful, from Gilligan's silly antics to Skipper's strict yet affectionate personality to funny and often failed attempts to escape the island. It is the perfect blend of adventure and humor which helps the show capture the hearts of its viewers. However, nothing is perfect, and Gilligan's Island is no exception. The show has its notable flaws, small mistakes and funny moments that you might have missed. Although the show may seem perfect from the start, if you pay close attention you will notice some strange things. But could these be editing errors, and why didn't the editors notice these mistakes? How long did it take them to spot them? Let's explore these interesting details in this video as we uncover the mistakes of Gilligan's Island. Before we dive into those details, let's take a quick look at show operator. Wait, listen to me. We're a shipwreck, you see, and we found this telephone line and what tapped into it, and we're on a deserted island. There's no telephone pole or even a phone. Why do I get all the nuts? Gilligan's Island is one of the famous television programs created and produced by Sherwood Schwartz, leaving a deep impression on classic television fans. The show features a talented cast including stars like Bob Denver, Alan Hale Jr., Jim Backus, Natalie Schafer, Tina Louise, Russell Johnson and Don Wells. With 3 seasons, the show aired from September 26, 1964 to April 17, 1967 on CBS. The storyline of the show is not just an adventure story but also a memorable journey of individuals with different personalities forced to work together in a challenging situation. The story begins when a group of 7 people are stranded on a deserted island after an accident. They embark on an adventure unlike any other, facing various challenges and dangers while trying to escape the island. The story revolves around the SS Minnow boat with 2 main characters, Skipper and his companion Gilligan, along with 5 other passengers. The trip was initially planned to last 3 hours from Honolulu, but everything changes when a sudden storm hits, leaving them stranded on an unknown island in the Pacific. Interestingly, the show never reveals the exact location of the island, as the episodes continuously change the coordinates and information about the island's location. Despite this, it does not diminish the appeal of the show. Instead, viewers are treated to a group of highly memorable characters working together wonderfully, overcoming challenges to find a way off the island. Nevertheless, no matter how hard they try, each time they attempt a new planet fails, mostly due to Gilligan's clumsy mistakes. The character known for his silly antics, the contrast between Gilligan's personality and Skipper's strict yet affectionate nature brings humor to the show, and this is also what makes it so beloved by viewers. A question that many viewers might ask themselves is whether Gilligan Island carries a deeper message. If you are a fan of the show, you must have thought about this. Sherwood Schwartz, the creator of the show, once shared that Gilligan's Island actually reflects an important message about cooperation and teamwork. Explained that the characters in the show come from different backgrounds, each with their own unique personalities, but they all must learn to work together to overcome difficulties and survive. This message can be seen as a reminder of the importance of unity and teamwork in modern society, where each individual plays an essential role in the overall success. The show Gilligan Island ran for 3 seasons, totaling 98 episodes. The first season had 36 episodes filmed in black and white and later colorized during rears. The next 2 seasons were filmed in color. Additionally, the show had 3 television specials that aired from 1978 to 1982, further expanding the history of these beloved characters. When the show first debuted, it received fairly good feedback and attracted a decent viewership. On the other hand, it wasn't until the 1970s and 1980s that Gilligan Island truly became a cultural phenomenon. The main reason for this was that episodes were rerun in the afternoons when many people had free time and were watching TV. The final episode of the show, titled Gilligan the Goddess, aired on April 17, 1967. Viewers at the time hoped this would be the episode where the characters would be rescued from the island, but what they got instead was an open-ended conclusion, with the characters still stranded on the island and unable to find a way back home. Interestingly, no one at the time knew that this would be the final episode of the show, even the actors. on the show were unaware that the program would be cancelled and they still hoped for a fourth season. On the other hand, surprisingly, the show never received the conclusion the audience had been expecting, and no one anticipated that Gilligan's Island would end so abruptly. Despite the lack of a satisfying ending, this doesn't stop us from exploring the interesting and humorous mistakes in Gilligan Island. One notable detail is the use of identical footage in multiple episodes. For example, in a pilot episode there is a scene with two characters on a raft. If you pay close attention, you'll notice that the actors in this scene are not Russell Johnson, the professor, or Tina Louise Ginger. In fact, these are actors from the first episode, and this footage was reused in another episode titled Birds Got to Fly, Fish Got to Talk. One of the interesting moments occurs when the characters are listening to the radio. In a wide shot, the professor is sitting in the background, but in the very next close-up shot he stands up. This is a small detail that the film crew might have overlooked, and if you didn't pay close attention you might not even notice. Speaking of the professor, do you remember the dark pants he wore in his episode? The interesting thing is he never wears those pants again throughout the show. This could simply be a minor oversight in the character's wardrobe. Another amusing situation involves Skipper. When he throws a sail out, everyone wonders why would he do that if goal was to scare off the shark. It seems he failed, as there's no sign that his action was effective. Next, pay attention to the submarine that Gilligan uses. While this small submarine seems appropriate for an emergency situation, there's a major problem. The water in which Gilligan is moving is too shallow, with the water barely reaching his chest. Furthermore, the submarine is filled with water, which is confusing because who would want to drive a submarine that is flooded? Particularly in that scene when Gilligan enters the submarine, he leaves the hatch open, and a humorous detail appears when you can see someone's feet and legs flailing under the water. Clearly that person should have been inside the submarine, not under the water. The next scene further highlights this when you notice a prop assistant's shoes floating up from under the water right in front of Gilligan's submarine. Meanwhile, Gilligan continues to pilot the submarine through the lagoon using a periscope. However, you'll notice that the periscope wobbles uncontrollably because the diver is operating it. If you're sharp-eyed, you'll catch this in a brief moment, but it's very easy to miss if you're not paying close attention. Another interesting mistake is the wedding ring that Gilligan inadvertently wears in an early scene. Although his character isn't married, you can easily spot the wedding ring on Gilligan's hand in the turtle race scene. This is definitely a mistake because Gilligan's character isn't married, but Bob Denver, the actor playing Gilligan, had simply forgotten to remove the ring before filming. A humorous detail, but it reduces the consistency of the character's image. There is another strange situation when Gilligan meets a boy in the forest. This boy has quite an impressive hairstyle for someone living in the jungle who has never seen a barber, and the leopard skin loincloth he is wearing makes us wonder how he could have found that on the island, as there are no leopards. What is even stranger is that the professor has stated that there could not be this boy in the island because the characters had searched everywhere and found nothing. That being said, they happened to discover many odd things such as a totem pole resembling Gilligan or lemon and grapefruit trees, making viewers wonder how many more wonders they have not yet discovered. Another noteworthy mistake is when the Howls continuously address Duke as Your Highness. This is quite strange because Duke belongs to the aristocracy, not royalty, especially in one scene when Duke is teaching Gilligan how to bench press, he accidentally bumps his head on the barbell, creating a surprising and humorous moment. And if you pay close attention, there is another interesting situation when Duke is missing for 2 weeks, but the search to find him only lasts 1 week. This makes us wonder whether the film crew waited a week before starting the search. There is also a rather interesting detail when Skipper doesn't believe Gilligan when he says he saw a monkey. However, when Gilligan describes the monkey, without directly calling it a monkey, Skipper believes him. This is clearly a humorous detail, creating an inconsistency in how the characters react to information. Another strange set design mistake is the window between the Howl family's beds. This window suddenly appears in one episode but does not appear in other episodes, creating a clear inconsistency in the space design. In another scene, the characters gather to discuss the next plan, and a concerning detail is that they are standing too close to the monkey. This is very dangerous, and notably that they are facing in a way from the monkey, creating a situation that could easily lead to danger. It's hard to believe that anyone could be so careless as to stand near a wild creature without paying attention, but this happens in one scene of the episode where the characters are attacked by natives without any preparation or reasonable reaction. Clearly they lack caution when facing such a situation. This scene makes the audience question the illogical actions of the characters. This is not accidental because in other scenes, even Humorous situations. There are notable inconsistencies. A clear example is when Mr. Howell swings a hammer but the hammer doesn't touch his hand and he starts screaming in pain even before the hammer touches his finger. This situation brings a sense of unnaturalness and is hard to believe. As for the natives, whether they are from the West or the South, the footage is exactly the same, making viewers feel like the filmmakers were too tired to change the shots for each different direction. Another strange point is, when Gilligan drops the radio, the antenna clearly points towards him. In the other hand, in the next scene, the antenna turns in the opposite direction without anyone touching it, creating an incomprehensible inconsistency. When a group of natives approaches the island from all directions, the camera shows that their camp has a maximum of 12 people, so where's the rest of them, or where are they in this scene? This definitely creates a lack of logic in the story, making viewers question the film crew's preparation. Another interesting detail concerns the magical abilities of the characters. In one scene, the group is performing a magic trick without knowing how to perform it. It's hard to imagine anyone performing a magic trick without understanding the secret behind it. Still, the characters act as if they are doing everything naturally. There's a rather strange moment when everyone is sitting and complaining about being hungry even though they are on an island. In spite of the scarcity, they can still find at least some fruit. Still, instead of making use of what's around them, they pretend they have no resources left. This not only confuses the viewers but also makes the characters lose credibility in terms of practicality. One of the other odd situations is when Gilligan is standing right behind Skipper, only a few steps away from him, but no one can see him. This is hard to understand because Gilligan's position is completely clear and visible, but the whole group still asks, where's Gilligan? This creates a huge gap in the logic of the scene. We also can't overlook the detail about the flash powder cake in the episode. How could someone perform this trick without an oven? This is clearly an illogical detail, and if you don't pay attention you might easily overlook it. In another scene, when Gilligan creates a floating table, the hanging wires are still clearly visible. Even if someone tries to ignore it, the wires are easy to spot, creating a clear inconsistency in the execution of the special effect regarding the bubbles that the characters blow. Surely you can't forget that scene when bubbles start flying out of their mouths during a meal. What's special is that these bubbles couldn't appear naturally, and if you pay close attention you'll see something like aim towel clip or a bubble blowing device behind Marianne's face. This is a special effect that's hard to miss even though the film crew tries to hide it. Another inconsistency is when Gilligan says his favorite vegetable is spinach, but in the episode Lovey's Secret Admirer, when he's going through a lie detector test, he reveals that he actually doesn't like spinach. This is a clear mistake in the character development. Finally, another noteworthy detail is the giant bone that the group uses to plow the garden. This is truly hard to understand because no creature on the island could have such a large bone. This is a clearly illogical element that makes the story even stranger. If you're not paying close attention, you could easily overlook the odd details in Gilligan Island. One of them is the man with the net in the episode. When a butterfly expert or a lepidopter comes to the island to find the rare swallowtail pussycat butterfly, but when he leaves the island everything seems off. Before leaving he defeats all 7 of the stranded people, knocking them unconscious. Still, when Natalie Scarrow plays Mrs. Howell opens her eyes for a second, this makes viewers wonder if this was a slip-up by the film crew. We also can't forget the details about the voodoo dolls in the episode. Although the 7 people are stranded on an island in the Pacific Ocean, the professor confidently claims that the artifacts they find are Maya craftsmanship, but the Maya lived in Central America, not the Pacific, so it's hard to explain why these items are on the island. While the Howell family enters the cave without money, they suddenly come across a torch burning. This is puzzling, because Gilligan brought the torch, so who lit it inside the cave? Could it have been the witch doctor? Could the stranded people not have noticed someone else's presence? Another interesting detail is when the voodoo dolls unexpectedly appear outside the cave even though they weren't there before. Perhaps the witch doctor intentionally made them visible to attract attention. What's strange is that while everyone had to deal with rain the night before, the next day when the professor recovers, Marianne is still wearing the same outfit, seemingly without time having passed. This is a clear inconsistency in maintaining the logic of time. The next question is, how could Gilligan make a voodoo doll of the witch doctor? Could he have gotten the witch doctor's personal items, or are these dolls part of the magic they discovered? This remains an unanswered mystery. The opening scene of Gilligan's Island also presents a small but interesting mistake. When the opening song talks about 5 passengers set sail, you might notice something odd. There aren't 5 people on the boat but 8 passengers. It's easy To see that at the front of the boat Ginger and Marin are enjoying the trip while Gilligan and Skipper are standing together eagerly looking ahead, then the Howells and the Professor are chatting. Nevertheless, behind the wheel there's a mysterious man controlling the minnow. This makes viewers wonder about this character. Who is he, and does he know about the island that the stranded people have no knowledge of? Finally, toward the end of the episode, the camera shows the stranded group returning home on a small boat. An interesting moment is when they set sail. You can see a building in the distance surrounded by trees and a pond. It could be a shot from the studio or even the Los Angeles skyline, offering an intriguing perspective that all of the group's adventures were filmed at a Hollywood studio, blending the fictional world and the reality of the outside world. So you've seen the blooper mistakes that you might have missed in Gilligan's Island. Which of these surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video so your friends can explore the mysteries of Gilligan's Island too. Be sure to click on the other videos on the screen to continue the journey, often covering the humorous and unexpected moments. Seamlessly transition into the role of an impromptu island doctor speaks to the show's willingness to prioritize humor and creativity over strict realism. The Professor becomes a symbol of resourcefulness and adaptability, embodying the notion that intelligence and ingenuity can extend beyond conventional boundaries. The decision to portray the Professor as a makeshift medical practitioner adds an element of absurdity to the show, contributing to its overall comedic charm. Viewers, while suspending disbelief, are invited to appreciate the humorous contradictions that arise. See when characters in a fictional setting defy traditional roles and expectations. Not so deserted island. The mysterious and seemingly expansive nature of Gilligan's Island becomes increasingly evident as the castaways marooned after the ill-fated 3-hour tour stumble upon a succession of characters who have been living in solitude on the island for years. Each encounter adds a layer of intrigue to the narrative, raising questions about the vastness and hidden corners of this seemingly remote paradise. Among the notable inhabitants is Rongway Feldman, a hapless aviator who, true to his name, managed to navigate the island in the wrong direction, prolonging his unintended stay. Then there's Dubov the painter, a solitary artist capturing the beauty of the island with his brush strokes. The Jungle Boy, with his untamed appearance and primal connection to the wilderness, further adds to the eclectic mix of characters. What makes these encounters fascinating is the shared belief of these long-term residents that they are the sole inhabitants of the island until they cross paths with the minnow crew. The island, it seems, is a vast and mysterious place, concealing hidden corners that shelter individuals oblivious to the presence of others. This raises a captivating question: just how expansive is Gilligan's Island? The series tantalizes viewers with the notion that there may be unexplored territories, secret enclaves, or undiscovered wonders lurking beyond the familiar settings. The island becomes more than just a backdrop. It transforms into a character in its own right, shrouded in mystery and offering the promise of new and unexpected encounters as the castaways continue to navigate their way through the challenges of island life. Each new inhabitant they stumble upon adds to the tapestry of the island's untold stories. The narrative, while rooted in comedy and lightheartedness, hints at the vastness of this fictional local, encouraging viewers to imagine the uncharted territories and hidden mysteries that might await discovery. Not even a sniffle. The intriguing dynamics of character details in Gilligan's Island come to the forefront in the episodes Feed the Kitty and the Friendly Physician, highlighting the delicate balance between established traits and the nuances of on-screen storytelling. In the episode of Feed the Kitty, viewers are introduced to Mrs. Howell's allergy to cats, a characteristic that adds a layer of humor and potential plot complications to the narrative. This established trait becomes a notable point of reference for fans who later notice a seeming inconsistency in the Friendly Physician. In this episode, a cat makes an appearance, prompting some viewers to question the continuity of Mrs. Howell's allergic reaction. Upon closer inspection, it becomes clear that Mrs. Howell does not share any scenes with the cat in question, and her brief contact with it is not substantial enough to trigger her allergy scene. Yet the magic is quickly demystified for observant viewers who notice a distinct glint of wires used to lift the prop fruit. These wires, reflecting light near the roof of the hut, become telltale signs of the practical methods employed to achieve the illusion. The clever use of wire, while effective for the television audience, offers a glimpse into the behind-the-scenes magic that brings Gilligan's Island to life. Similarly, in the earlier episode It's Magic, where the castaways attempt to perform a magic show, the wires used to levitate the table at the end of the episode are briefly visible if one looks closely. This fleeting glimpse of the apparatus responsible for the illusion serves as a charming blooper, reminding viewers that the magic they witness is in fact a product of clever staging and practical effects. These instances highlight the show's commitment to infusing humor and fantastical elements into its narrative while acknowledging the constraints of television production. The use of visible wires becomes a playful nod to the audience, inviting them to appreciate the creative solutions employed by the production team to bring moments off magic to the small screen. Green running out of steam. While commonly referred to as the SS Minnow, the iconic boat on Gilligan's Island is technically a motor vessel rather than a steamship, which would traditionally be designated SS in adherence to proper maritime nomenclature. The correct designation for the vessel would be MV Minnow, as it is powered by a diesel or gas engine rather than a steam propulsion system. This distinction in terminology adds a subtle layer of authenticity to the show's maritime elements, highlighting the attention to detail and capturing the specifics of the Minnow's design and functionality. The use of MV aligns with the vessel's actual propulsion system, contributing to the nuanced world building that defines Gilligan's Island. In a related note, the Minnow, portrayed as a 1964 wheeler but boasted a maximum cruising speed of 12 knots. This technical detail provides insight into the boat's capabilities and inadvertently poses an intriguing implication. With a cruising speed of 12 knots, it becomes apparent that during their supposed 3-hour tour, the Minnow could have covered a distance of no more than approximately 40 miles. This unintentional detail introduces an element of realism to the show's premise. The limited range of the Minnow is dictated by its cruising speed, adds a touch of irony to the castaway's predicament. The notion that a short 3-hour tour could lead to such an unforeseen and protracted adventure becomes more plausible when considering the vessel's actual capabilities. What do you think about the technical error